Hi, it's Art Remsik, business-to-business promotional product consultant. This is one of a series of videos that I'm doing that I hope will help my customers and other folks out there with their promotional product questions, with decisions, with getting better value for what they're doing. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about branding. Now, most of the time when I talk to my customers, it's about a specific product for their particular needs. Perhaps an event, perhaps it's logoed apparel for their employees, but most of the time it involves branding. So I wanted to touch on branding a little bit in this first of the series videos because it's kind of the basics of what we're going to do with whatever you print. Branding's not an option. I'm not sure how you thought of branding, but your business is going to be perceived in a certain way, either by default or by design. So you get to choose. That's the good news. How is your business going to be perceived? And if you choose not to brand, then your consumers, the public, the people that come in contact with your employees, with your product and goods, services, or in some other way with your company, will develop their own mindset of what your brand is. That's kind of the bad news because you don't have any control over what that is. The good news is you can control the branding. You get to decide. You can design your brand. You can promote your brand and explain and educate people on what your brand means. And I'm not going to go into mission statements and product statements and your company values. Those are things that you already know or need to spend time thinking about, but branding is actually the presentation of that and establishing in your company's position in your customer's mind so that they think of you when they see your brand, that they think of good things when they see your brand, and that it associates with whatever it is that you want them to associate with. No one needs to explain what the Nike swoosh is. You don't need to see the word Nike next to it to know that that is the trademark of Nike. And the same way with Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and the major brands, major companies have spent a lot of money promoting their brand, educating people to what it is, and they have instant recognition of it. When you see the logo, you don't even need to see the company name or the website. You instantly know it's Nike, it's Coca-Cola, or whomever. So you can do that as well. Now, you're probably not going to spend millions of dollars promoting your brand, but on a smaller scale, you get to control what your brand perception is. And I think that's a pretty important part of a business. So I would encourage you, if you haven't, sit down and think about your business, your products, your services, what you do, and what it is that you wish to communicate with the people that are using your product and service and the other people that maybe not using it yet, but you would hope someday choose you or at least come talk to you about perhaps being a new customer. So that's a pretty important thing. Again, your business is going to be perceived somehow. So I encourage you to design how it's perceived and do that where you have control. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about makeover of a business image as part of this because frequently I'm contacted by one of my clients who is changing some things. They're changing a logo, they're changing a tagline, they may be changing some corporate colors. Maybe they don't have that established yet and they're just using their business name. My father was an electrician and his business name was Frank's Electric. So I'll use that for an example. He's no longer in business and I'm sure he wouldn't have minded. But you know, Frank's Electric could be put on polo shirts, it could be put on coveralls, it could be put on magnets on the side of a car, it could be put on magnets that stick on a breaker box. It could be put on all kinds of different places. Well, he could choose what he wanted to use for corporate colors. And there are different colors that you can see better. There are websites that discuss, how visible signs are at different distances. There are things that different colors are associated with different emotions and feelings. And those are things you might want to think about. But also, again, once you've designed that brand, you're judged by how you look. And when you go to change that look, when you rebrand, it can be perilous. And I want to talk just a little bit about that today, because I will be happy to help you do that. But there are some things that should be considered. So remember, branding is a reflection of your company. It's not just a projection of what you want it to be, it's a projection of what others perceive it to be. So there's a two-part scenario there. I can create this video and I can explain something, but if I don't get feedback from you, then we haven't had a complete dialogue. And likewise, if you just say, I'm going to, put everything on bright fluorescent orange, I'm going to use black imprint because it shows up from a long ways, your customers may not receive that as well as what you had hoped. Even though your intentions were to make your company more highly visible, there might be some things associated with the bright orange color or with other things that you may want to consider before you do that. So remember, it's a reflection. It's a reflection of the whole picture, not just what you were hoping to accomplish. And you have to ensure that your customer experience equals the perception in order to be effective. No amount of revamping your logo is going to work in the long run unless that happens. So before you rebrand, there's some important things to differentiate. If you're going to change your brand, what's changing about your business? Are you now going to appeal to a different clientele? Maybe you were selling to very economy-minded consumers, and now you're going to appeal to some more trendy, upscale type folks that have a different look. I strongly encourage you to, rather than just changing your brand and go, oh, we're going to appeal to these people now, a couple of things. When you do that, you take the chance of losing your existing customer base identifying with your brand. So that's perilous, and other competitors can step in and be ready to scoop up that market share of your former clients who are now a bit confused about what your mission statement is. So the more dramatically change your brand, the more likely you are to lose your current customers. So my first recommendation is that you consider adapting your current brand to include your new clientele, the new targeted projected consumer base that you want to include in your customer base. So unless you want to lose all your old ones and just concentrate on the new ones, I would strongly encourage you to think about how you can adapt your current logos, your current mission statement, your current brand image to include these other folks. What you want to do then is you want to spend some time educating your current clientele as to what you're doing, that you're expanding, you're in a growth mode, and we're excited about these changes. You want to make sure they know that they're still included and in your brand. So establishing your company's market share is really, really important. And if you want to keep it, then I, again, suggest adapting your current brand instead of starting from scratch. There's already value in your name, there's value in your image, and even if you're personally tired of it, maybe you just want to change colors, you're like, oh my gosh, we've been doing this for 10 years or 20 years and we just need to change. Well, when you do, consider the key elements of your logo, of your marketing statement, of your tagline, your website address, all that, to consider retaining the people that you have doing business with you now that are loyal customers. So hold those key elements in mind, and then you can retain your original appeal plus add some polish to it for the new folks. So remember, you want to think about everything. Small business image needs to be reflected in the brand that was projected in the first place. So hopefully you have that. If you haven't branded yet, you get to start from scratch, which is good and bad. The good about it is there's already a wide open opportunity to do whatever you would like with branding, and you can set it up the way you want it the first time. The disadvantage is there's already some branding associated with your business, because the unintended consequence of you not branding was someone else decided what your business was all about. But then you just need to educate those current customers that you're now branding and you're focusing and you're polishing your image. So I'm going to talk more about this in another video, but I do want to touch on it because if you're branding or rebranding, consider using a quality logo. And by that I mean a professionally designed, well thought out logo that encompasses what you stand for, and when my end of it, something that can be easily imprinted. Now I'm going to encourage you, if you use a big colorful logo, that you also have a one color version of that designed by whomever designs your logo and does your graphics work, because one color logos are much less expensive to imprint on screen printed and pad printed items, which are going to be probably the bulk of the things that you promote your business with. So by designing your logo correctly and making sure that there's a one color logo version that will look the way you want it to look and still represent your brand, you're going to save yourself a lot of money down the road with the unintended consequences of what promotional products are going to cost you. So we'll talk again more detail about that in another video, because I'm going to talk about how to make your marketing dollars go farther. But that's an important part, and if you're doing the design phase or the revamping phase, that's an important thing to consider. So you can design wonderful things on a computer with 42 different colors and different shades and all kinds of wonderful, great things. And you can use that for your stationery, you can use that on your website, and when you go to print it on something, it may be horribly expensive, or it may just not be able to be imprinted without all those different shades filling in and making a big blob. So again, that's something to consider with your graphics designer. So if you're heading in a new direction, or you're adapting new technology, you're promoting to a new customer base, those are things to think about as you do a makeover on a business or initial branding. Conduct your rebranding very carefully and comprehensive. Ideally, you want to change everything at once if you're going to completely rebrand. Now, I know it sounds like I just contradicted myself, but what I'm saying is that you adapt your former branding to your new branding, and you do it at one time. So you know what your former logo looks like, you know what your tagline is, you know what all those things are, and you sit and have some brainstorming sessions, and you decide exactly what you want the new brand to look like, and then the recommendation is that you roll it out all at once. So if you need to redo your logo, your name, your brand standards, apply them to all your sales tools, business cards, your website, your signs, your brochures, your imprinted products, and you do it at the same time. Now, this can be expensive, and it requires some cost risk analysis, and that's what you need to think about before you decide to rebrand. But when you do everything at once, you can help retain your customer's focus from the first point of contact, and to be consistent all the way through every point of contact to reinforce that you really have changed and you're moving on. So you don't get those lingering confused people that are like, well, I thought they were changed. Well, no, they really haven't yet. Look at the website. So those are things that I encourage you to think about when you do that. So if you can only afford to change one thing at a time, now this is not the ideal, but this is the next best, then focus on your customer's typical first point of contact with your business. Retail business, that might be changing a sign, or it might be changing an ad in the phone book, if people still use those. A business-to-business firm might concentrate first on their website. I know when I implemented some changes recently, I upgraded and I revamped and I totally updated my LinkedIn profile and my website virtually at the same time. I also expanded my YouTube channel and expanded some videos that I'd been wanting to do for a long time, and made that leap forward here over the last couple of months. So there's a lot of change that I've been doing, and that kind of led me to look at what do other people do. Some customers I've worked with have kind of reaffirmed that hey, we've got all these things going on. So I thought that a little discussion about branding options could be maybe very useful and help you save money and be more successful, which is what my mission is. If I'm just selling you stuff, you can buy stuff just about anywhere. Now, some stuff is better than other stuff, and some is more expensive than other stuff. And my job is to kind of help you find a good price point for the quality when you buy stuff. But I also have a long-term interest in your business and in your interests. And I think that's what separates me from a website or from someone that you maybe do not know. So I hope this has been helpful. I encourage you to check out my other YouTube channel features, where I'm going to be talking about ways to save money with promotional products and make your marketing dollars go farther, how to pick more appropriate products or most appropriate products. Some of you are already very, very good at that. Other people just know, gosh, I need to, I talked to a guy the other day. He said, I know I need to advertise, but I don't know what I need to do, and I don't have a lot of money to get started. So hopefully it'll help everybody in that range. And again, I appreciate you. Thank you for the referrals in the business, and I look forward to meeting with you soon. Thanks a lot.